So we were talking about the profit maximization, and in this profit maximization, so basically, so we are saying that no matter the firm yazdığımı görebiliyor musunuz arkadaşlar? Birazcık lojistik sorun oluyor da.
Evet, görüyoruz hocam. Profit maximization in short run.
Görmüyorsunuz. Bir saniye, tekrardan çözmeye çalışacağım. Şu anda yazdığımı görüyor musunuz?
Evet hocam.
Bir ses verebilir misiniz?
Verdik hocam.
Peki yazdığımı görebiliyor musunuz şu anda? Ekran gözüküyor. Tamam. Süper. So let's continue. Sorry for the disruption again. Okay. So basically we were talking about the profit maximization. Okay. And the profit maximization basically, so what we mean by the profit is the profit depending on the quantity, and it is price times quantity minus the cost depending on the quantity. Okay. So in the short run, so what we need to know is basically we have fixed cost. Okay. So in the long run, so we will see it later on. Okay, we don't have the fixed cost. Okay, and again, okay, so we start with the output decision here, and nothing is different from the output decision. So it doesn't matter. So whether we are working on the short run or the long run, the output decision does not change. Okay, and it is basically, so we would like to maximize the profit, okay, and we do it by taking derivative and equalizing it to 0, and this derivative is basically giving us the following. Okay, so price should be equal to the marginal cost. Okay. So price will be given here. Okay, so I will say that this is the price, and it will be equal to the marginal cost. Okay. And as I said before, okay, for the shutdown decision, what matters is basically fixed cost is gone. Okay, so which means that we cannot change the fixed cost whether we shut down or not. Okay, and what we need to do is basically so that the firm then decide on shut down or not by comparing revenue with variable cost. Okay, so here remember that the cost is fixed cost plus variable cost. Okay, so it doesn't, so that this fixed cost does not depend on the quantity level. Okay, the output level, it will be always fixed, and we have here the variable cost. Okay, so which means that if the firm shuts down, then its profit is basically minus fixed cost. Okay, if the firm continues to produce, okay, if the firm produces, then the profit is basically, so we determine a optimum level of the output here, Q star, will be P times Q star minus variable cost at Q star minus fixed cost. Okay. So shutdown decision will be given if the following holds. Okay, so the optimum level of your revenue minus variable cost at the optimum level. If this is less than 0, okay, you shut down. Okay, so you continue if your revenue at the optimum level minus your variable cost at the optimum level is greater or equal to 0. Bir ses verebilir misiniz? Yani bir sesiniz geliyor mu gelmiyor mu onu şey yapmak istiyorum.
Hocam şimdi bu continue'daki Q-star'lara bakıyoruz. Küçüktür 0 ve büyük eşittir 0'a göre bakıyoruz değil mi bunlara? Hocam gelmiyor mu sesim?
Sesiniz gelmiyor sanırım. Bana da benim size sesim geliyor mu düzgün?
Geliyor.
Tamam, sen konuşuyorsun gelmiyor ama benim sesim geliyor değil mi? Tamam. O zaman sorularınızı buradan yazın lütfen, hani beni durdurabilirsiniz. Hani buradan check edeceğim. Normal kullandığım bilgisayarda bir sorun çıktı. Şu anda başka bir bilgisayara geçtim. Biraz zor oluyor ama halletmeye çalışacağız, tamam mı? Ben chat'e bakacağım devamlı buradan. Eğer bir sorunuz olursa oradan şey yapacağım. Okay. So biz burada short run'da Türkçe anlatayım. Normalde output decision'ımız hiçbir şekilde fark etmiyor. Ne olacak output decision'ımızda? Biz yine bu profit fonksiyonunu, burada gördüğünüz profit fonksiyonu maksimize etmeye çalışacağız. Bunun maksimizasyonu da zaten bize, hani profiti şu şekilde bir eğri olarak çizmiştik ya. Buradaki şu noktayı, şu maksimum noktayı bulmaya çalışacağız. Şimdi bu maksimum noktayı bulmak demek, bu profitin bir fonksiyon olarak düşündüğünüzde o noktadaki eğimi şu çizdiğim horizontal line'a eşit demek. Bu horizontal line'ın slope'u da zaten 0. Yani ne demek? Profitin türevini aldığınızda bu optimum noktada 0 olması gerekiyor. So the profit function is something like this concave up. So once we would like to maximize the profit, it means that so we are looking for this peak point. And the slope at this peak point is the slope of the horizontal line, which is 0. And the slope is defined as the derivative with respect to quantity. That is, we just need to take the derivative of this profit function, okay, with respect to the quantity. And taking this derivative with respect to quantity gives us the following equation, okay? So the marginal cost at the optimum point is equal to the price, okay? So this is the optimum level of output. But in the short run, I have another decision here, okay? So I can decide to shut down my firm, okay, or not. No matter I continue producing or not, I will always have the fixed cost, okay? It is gone. So no matter you pay the rent or no matter you buy some machines, it is gone. It doesn't affect your shutdown decision. So what affects your shutdown decision is basically the difference between the revenue. Okay, so this is revenue. Okay, the difference between revenue and your variable cost. Okay, so variable cost is again the cost for the, so in the short run, okay, in short run, so variable cost is your labor cost. Okay, all capital cost is gone to the fixed cost in the short run. And if your revenue is less than your variable cost, okay, at the optimum level, then you shut down your firm. Okay, otherwise you continue to produce. Okay. Let me try to continue. Okay. So we have this continuation decision. Okay, so it is depending on this the relation between the variable cost and your revenue. Okay, so if I divide both sides by Q, so which means that I will have price, okay, the market price that I cannot change, and I also have the average variable cost. Okay, if the average variable cost is greater than the price, okay, then basically what happens here is I shut down. Otherwise, if price is greater than average variable cost, then I continue. Okay, so let me show it on a graph. Okay, so I will take a snapshot. Okay, so basically, so what we see here is the graph for the marginal cost. Okay, okay, so how do you find average variable cost? So this is excellent. Okay, so what I will do is basically I will give you a cost function. Okay, cost function given to you. Then the cost function, basically, depending on the cost function, you have variable cost here and plus the fixed cost here. Okay, so the fixed cost will be just the constant here, okay, in the cost function, and the variable cost is the whatever left with Q. Then the average variable cost will be variable cost divided by quantity. Okay, does it help you to, does it answer your question? Sorunu cevaplayabildim mi? Perfect. Perfect. So basically, so then what we see in the short run is the following. Okay, so forget about this blue line. Herkes grafiği görebiliyor değil mi? So forget about this blue line. So let's just think about the costs. Okay. So what we have learned before is basically the relation between the average cost, okay, and the marginal cost is the following. Okay, so the marginal cost will pass through, okay, minimum of the average cost. So you can also think about this as the average variable cost. It doesn't matter. Okay, and the optimum point here is the following. Okay, so if this is the average cost, average variable cost will lie below this. Okay, so it will be something similar. And what does it say us that? So if the price level is greater than the whatever quantity that you are seeing here, okay, so at this point, okay, so this is the point, then you will produce. And you will produce at the quantity where the marginal cost curve, okay, this one, is intersecting with the price level. Okay, so once you find the marginal cost, then you just equalize it to the price. Then it will give you the output level that you will produce. Okay, and the profit that you can find from this figure is the following. Okay, so we know that this is the average cost at your optimum point. Okay, so this is your optimum point. Then this point, okay, so this 6.5 is the cost for each good, okay, the average cost for each good. Then your total cost will be this blue shaded area. Okay, this includes your fixed cost. And your revenue will be this big rectangle. So this will be this big rectangle. Okay, so from 8 to 0 to 284 to point E to 8. Okay, so this big area is your revenue, and this blue shaded area is your cost for producing this amount of goods. Then your profit will be this yellow shaded area. Açık mı? Any question here? Sor. Tabii ki. Aynen. Okay, so let's think about it. Okay, so you are right. Okay, so that is the cost. So what is we are doing here? Okay, forget about the costs here. Okay, so let me try to explain it again. So because this point is very important. Okay, in competitive market, suppose that you are producing. Okay, the optimum quantity found by marginal cost equal to the price. Şimdi ben burada ne yapıyorum? Produce ettiğini düşünelim. Tamam, hani produce etsen ne kadar edersin? Hani zarar da edebilirsin bundan. Önemli değil. Okay? As long as you are producing. Okay? I will find your optimum quantity by equalizing the marginal cost to the price. So this price will be always given you in short run. Okay? In short run, this is always given. Ben size price'i illaki söyleyeceğim. Hani ne kadar fiyatı olduğunu. In the short run, you will be always given the price. Then this marginal cost, okay, is the following. Okay, so you will be always given the cost function. Okay, and the marginal cost is basically marginal cost is the derivative of the cost function with respect to quantity. So you take the derivative of the cost function, then you have some function here depending on Q. Okay, so here P is given you. This will be some constant, okay, some number. Then you find the exact value of your optimum quantity. This is the first step, okay, finding the optimum quantity. So specific to this example, okay, so we are giving the market price, okay, so this horizontal blue line, and we also know our marginal cost curve. What I just need to do is basically I need to look at where they intersect. Okay, so they are intersecting at point E. Then I am looking for the quantity level, okay, and the quantity level is 284. Which means that this is the amount that I will produce. Okay? Then my cost at 284. Okay? So that will be my cost. How can I write the cost? Okay, so I can have the cost function, so whatever it is, or I can write the cost function as follows. Okay, average cost times quantity, right? So I know that whenever the output level is 284, the average cost is 6.5. Okay, so this is 6.5, and I know the quantity is 284. Then that will give us the cost. Okay, so revenue here is equal to the price times quantity. Okay, it will be 8 times 284. Therefore, the profit is basically the difference between profit is difference between revenue and C. So which will be 8 minus 6.5 times 284. Doğru mudur? Açıklayabildim mi? Burada fixed cost'u dahil ettik. Fixed cost'u şuna dahil etmiyoruz. Şimdi bir saniye. Öngüner, 6,5 niye yazdın? Sorry, it is 6.5. Thank you very much. Okay. So, Öngüner senin sorunu cevapladım değil mi? Çok güzel. Şimdi bu senin sorusuna. Okay. So here, let me explain it again. Okay. So this point is very important. Okay. So for the output decision, basically what we are doing is we are looking at the marginal cost equal to P. Okay. So let's think about the cost function. Okay, so let's think about this marginal cost. Okay, so our cost function is composed of two. Biraz detaylı anlatacağım burayı. Hani bu senin sorununa fazla da gelecek ama yararlı olacak. Our cost function is fixed cost plus variable cost. Okay, in the short run, only variable cost depends on quantity. Değil mi? Burada bir sorun var mı? Fixed cost, ben parayı verdim, gitti. And in the short run, so since I cannot change the capital, I'm also thinking the whatever I'm paying for the rent, whatever I'm paying for the machine, so it will be fixed cost. Here the variable cost is the only thing, okay, that changes with the output level that I am producing. So if I want to take the derivative of this cost function, okay, with respect to quantity, so do I have anything coming from here? Fixed cost'tan bir şey gelir mi marginal cost'a? No. Okay, so this will be 0 plus the derivative of the variable cost with respect to quantity. Okay, so this will be marginal cost. So basically, fixed cost does not change, does not affect my output decision. Okay, fixed cost does not affect output decision. Then let's think about whether fixed cost affect my shutdown decision. Okay, what about the shutdown? Okay, so let's think about again. Okay, so I will write it again. Okay, so my profit, okay, depending on the level of quantity that I am producing, is P times Q minus fixed cost minus variable cost depending on the quantity. So if I shut down, my profit will be, shutdown yaparsam profitim ne olur? It will not be 0. Okay, so you can just think about this shutdown decision as equalizing quantity to 0. Okay, I'm equalizing quantity to 0. Then what is left? It will be exactly, it will be fixed cost plus, so minus fixed cost minus variable cost, but variable cost when quantity level is 0 is 0. Okay, so which means that whenever I have shutdown, I will only have my fixed cost. Burası açık mı? Sadece fixed cost'umuz var. Shutdown ettiğimde. If I continue, then what I have is basically, so I calculate my optimum quantity here. Okay, so let's say that my optimum quantity is Q star. Okay, then I am evaluating my my profit at Q star. P times Q star minus, sorry, I don't know how it comes. Okay, P times Q star minus fixed cost. Okay, so I always have the fixed cost minus variable cost Q star. Okay, so which means that I will compare, okay, so for my shutdown decision, I will compare this first line with this one, with the second line. Okay, and I will shut down if the first line, okay, minus fixed cost is greater than this amount. Okay, if fixed cost minus fixed cost is greater than P times Q star minus fixed cost minus variable cost Q star. Aynen. Output decision. So we first find the output decision. Okay, so we are saying that as long as I am producing, okay, what will be my optimum output decision? Basic. So what you are doing is you are finding the maximum profit, okay, when you are continuing. Şimdi burada output decision'ımız biz shutdown'u düşünmeden önce bakıyoruz. Hani diyoruz ki ben devam etsem production'a en fazla ne kadar profitim olur? Onu bulmam lazım. Daha sonra bulduğum amount ile shutdown yaptığımdaki durumu karşılaştıracağım. O da buna karşılık geliyor. Tamam mı? And if I continue here, this will cancel this. So what is left is basically I will shut down if 0 is greater than PQ star minus variable cost Q star. In other words, so if I take variable cost to the left hand side, PQ star. Okay. So if I divide both sides, sorry, this is not, of course, equal. Okay, if I divide both sides by Q star, what I have is average variable cost at Q star is greater than P. So if this is the case, okay, then I shut down. If it is just the otherwise, okay, so if P is greater than the average variable cost at the optimum output level, then produce. Daha açık oldu mu? Bakın sorunuz varsa burada, hani burası birazcık karışık anlattım biliyorum. Ama hani basit aslında, hani bir kez daha üzerinden geçtiğinde you will see that, so once you go over it, you will see that, so this is very simple logic. Okay? Good. Then let's continue. Okay, so let me ask you a question here. Let's say this is the average variable cost. Okay, so here for different quantity levels. Okay, so I draw the average cost curve. Okay, and this is the minimum of sorry guys, so let me draw it here again. Okay, so much clearer. So here I draw the average variable cost curve. This is quantity level, this is price. Okay, so this point is the minimum of average variable cost. Ben bu minimumu nasıl bulabilirim? Derivative, yes. So I will take the derivative of the average variable cost with respect to quantity, and I will equalize it to 0. And whatever Q that I find here, that is the minimum of the average variable cost. Okay, and I can also find the price value of this minimum of the average variable cost. Okay, so let's try to think about one simple example here. Suppose that average variable cost is, so let me cook up an example. It is Q square minus 5Q. Okay, so that is the average variable cost. Then let me ask you some simple question. What will be the variable cost here? Exact. No, so the variable cost will be, so variable cost is average variable cost times Q, then it will be Q cube minus 5Q square. Okay, then basically, so if I want to find the minimum of this average variable cost, what do? Is basically I'm taking the derivative of this average variable cost with respect to quantity. It will be 2Q minus 5 is equal to 0. Okay, then Q is equal to 5 over 2. Okay, so then this is not a good cooked example. Okay, whatever. Okay, so basically this minimum of the average variable cost, so this is not a good example here, but so the value of this minimum average variable cost will be 5 over 2 square minus 5 times 5 over 2. Okay, so let me change the question a little bit. Okay, so let's say that average variable cost is plus 20. Okay, then here the variable cost will be 20Q. Then the minimum of the average variable cost for Q, it doesn't change. Okay, so by this addition, okay, so I'm just taking the derivative of this guy. Okay, 20 will not play any role here. Then I find Q is equal to 5/2. Then if I want to evaluate the value of the average variable cost at Q is equal to 2.5, it will be plus 20. What do I have here is 5/2 times 5/2 with minus sign plus 20. It will be kaç olur? 1.25 18.75. This is 18.75. Okay, so which means that I will produce as long as P is greater than minimum of average variable cost. Okay, which means that for this specific example, as long as P is greater or equal to 18.75. Okay, so this is the minimum price, okay, for a firm to produce in this market. Bir firmanın production yapması için minimum costumun en az 18 market price'ının en az 18.75 olması gerekiyor. Bir dakika böyle duralım. Bir sorunuz varsa söyleyin, yanıtlamaya çalışayım. Sorunuz yok o zaman. Bir grafikle daha açıklamaya çalışayım ben ne yaptığımızı. Grafik gözüküyor değil mi? Çok güzel. So, again, we are talking about a single firm here. Okay? Sadece bir firma için konuşuyoruz. So, once we think about the single firm, so I just want you to just focus on the marginal cost and the average variable cost. Sorry, the average cost and the average variable cost. Okay? So again, so let me write it again. Okay, the cost is fixed cost plus variable cost. Okay? And the average cost is fixed cost divided by quantity plus variable cost divided by quantity. Here I call this as the average fixed cost plus average variable cost. Okay? So what we have here is basically, so the reason why this green line, okay, which is representing the average cost, is above the average variable cost is because So basically, we are adding up this average fixed cost over the average variable cost to calculate the average cost. Tamam mı? Şimdi ben burada I am given the price level in the market. Okay, so this blue line is given and it is fixed. I'm not changing anything here. Okay, so my decision, my quantity decision will not affect the price level of the market. So what I know here, so the maximum profit when there is production is basically calculated when price is equal to marginal cost. So which means that I need to look at the intersection of this blue line, okay, which is a price level, with the marginal cost. Then I find this optimum level of production when I produce. Okay, so this is the optimal level of production when I produce. Good. Then at this level, okay, what will be my total cost? Okay, what is my total cost? Benim total cost'um ne oluyor burada? Yok, bir daha düşünün. Q times average cost, right? So I'm calculating Q as 100. What is the average cost when we have the production of 100? It is what is the average cost when we have the production of 100? This point, so the price will be 6.12. Okay, so then my total cost, okay, when I produce this amount of product is 612. Okay, of course there is three zeros here. What is my revenue? Exactly. It is the price times, okay, the quantity. So the price is basically 5.5 times quantity is 100. It will be 550. Okay. Then my profit is 550 minus 612. So which will be what's that? 62 minus 62. Okay. I am losing some money here. Okay. Do I shut down my firm? Okay, so although I am losing some money, I do not shut down my firm. Okay, because as you can see here, this 5 is the minimum of average variable cost. Okay. Then, since the price level, which is 5.5, is greater than the minimum of average variable cost, which means that every production, okay, every product is getting me some money. Okay. But the reason why I have this amount of loss is because I have some fixed cost here. Exactly. So fixed cost is already included here. Okay, so no matter shut down or not. Okay, so which means that shutting down will have a cost of, so the cost of shutting down is less than, okay, 62 minus 62, which means that so I'm losing more and more money here. Okay, actually, so I am recovering, okay, so this amount of money due to the production. Okay, so how do I know that? So at the optimum level, my variable cost, okay, my variable cost at the optimum level is average variable cost times quantity. The average variable cost at the optimum is 5.14 times quantity is 100. Okay, so this is my average variable cost, which is 540. Okay, so I am basically taking that cost. Okay, moreover, I am also earning more money. Okay, I am earning $36 more. Okay, and I'm using that money to somewhat compensate some part of my fixed cost. Şimdi ben burada produce ettiğimde, 100 tane ürün produce ettiğimde benim variable cost'um, average variable cost bu nokta 5.14 times quantity. Benim revenue'm ise 5.50 times quantity. Yani demek ki ben produce ettiğimde fixed cost'um yoksa, yok olduğunu düşünürsem eğer ki $36.000 bir kazanımım var. Ama benim bir fixed cost'um var. Yani negatif profit olmasının sebebi zaten bu fixed cost'tan dolayı. Ama ben bu kazandığım 36 fixed cost'uma harcıyorum. Açık oldu mu? Is that clear? Tamam, tekrardan açıklayalım. Şimdi Türkçe açıklıyorum buraya, tamam mı? Şimdi kafanın karıştığı spesifik bir nokta varsa sor istersen, yoksa ben baştan bir daha açıklayacağım. Tamam, baştan açıklıyorum. Şimdi bu grafiği bir daha bir copy paste yapacağım. Buraya koydum. Let's go step by step. Okay. So remember, we are in short run. So the short run cost function is fixed cost plus variable cost. Okay. So the cost function, okay, will be basically giving us what is the cost of producing some amount. Okay. So how I find the optimum amount, okay, if I continue production, is basically equalizing the marginal cost to the price. Şimdi step by step gidelim. Burası okey mi? Short run cost fonksiyonu ne olduğunu biliyoruz, değil mi? Okey yazarsanız şey yapalım, oradan ben durmadan gideceğim. And we also know that the optimum price is calculated where the marginal cost, so optimum quantity is calculated where the marginal cost is equal to the price. Is that clear? Perfect. So which means that this P level is given to us. Okay, so this is given. I will say that, okay, in the short run, you have a competitive firm. Okay, your firm is in a competitive market, and the price that you are facing is 5.5. Then you will calculate your optimum quantity. Okay, so this is Q star. Okay, so this is the optimum quantity when you produce. I haven't said that, okay, or we haven't decided yet whether we would like to produce or not, okay? So this is the optimum quantity as long as you choose to produce. Burası da açık mı? Açık mıdır? Evet. So if you find the optimum quantity, no. So you are finding the optimum quantity if you produce. Şimdi burada karşılaştırıyoruz. Hani burada daha ilk derste anlatmıştım ya. Hani siz ilk önce aslında bu sizin decision tree'niz olsun, shutdown olsun, continue olsun. Şimdi siz en sonunda neyi karşılaştıracaksınız? Şimdi shutdown ettiğinizde short run olduğundan dolayı sizin profitiniz shutdown ettiğinde senin quantity'nin aslında zero olmuş oluyor, değil mi? Senin bu zaman your profit is minus fixed cost. Okay? Then you compare that with your maximum quantity when you choose to produce Q star. Bir saniye. Şimdi ben bununla, so I'm comparing fixed cost with my maximum possible profit. Burada Q-star'ı bulmanız sizin illaki produce edeceğiniz anlama gelmiyor. Aynen. Sen buradaki continue edeceğin durumdaki maksimum profit'i buluyorsun. Okay? So this is basically the maximum profit that you can achieve as long as you are producing. If it is less than the minus fixed cost, then you don't produce at all. Açık oldu mu biraz da? Güzel. Then let's think about it, okay? So you are producing, okay? I'm not saying that production is the optimal decision right now, but you are producing. What will be your cost? Okay, your cost at Q star. Okay, Q star is 100. Produce ettiğinizde bu optimal decision olmayabilir ama ben diyorum ki sen produce etmen gerekiyorsa senin cost'un nedir? Onu nasıl bulacağım? How can I find that? It is average cost at Q star times Q star. What is average cost at 100? Buradaki average cost'um ne benim? Aynen 6.12 times 100 which is 612. That is my cost. Okay, so this includes fixed cost and variable cost. Can I find my variable cost at Q star? What is my variable cost at Q star? It is average variable cost at Q star times Q star. What is average variable cost at Q star? It is 5.40 times Q star is 100, which is 514. And my fixed cost, even I cannot see my fixed cost here, okay? Fixed cost is cost minus average cost, cost minus variable cost, which will be 612 minus 514. It is, kaç etti? 98. Şimdi açık oldu mu biraz da? Sorunuz var mı ya da bu konuda? Yok gibi, güzel. Yok gibi güzel bir cevap. So this is my fixed cost. Then what is my profit? Okay, so when I choose to produce 100. So my profit is Q star, okay, so this is Q star times P minus cost Q star. So Q star is 100. The price that I am charging is 5.5 minus, I have already found the cost, which is 612. Then my profit here is minus kaç ediyor? 62 mi? Minus 62. Okay, minus 62. in fact, okay, so this is my profit, okay, so the profit is in fact so with minus sign. So here I am having a negative profit, okay, but if you can see here, okay, so my negative profit, okay, so this is so my profit when I continue, when I produce. So what is my profit from shutdown? Okay, profit from shutdown. What is my profit from shutdown? What happens if I shut down? It is minus fixed cost, which is minus 98. Okay, since my profit from production is greater than my profit from shutdown, I decide to produce. Okay, so this region, okay, so this 36 is basically the loss that I am covering. Zarardan kar ediyorum ben burada. Hani çalıştırsam da çalıştırmasam da bu firmayı ben 98 fixed cost'u ödemek zorundayım. Ama çalıştırarak bunun 36'sını kurtarıyorum. Sadece geriye 62 kalmış oluyor. O yüzden çalıştırmak benim için karlı oluyor. Okay? So here, the point is, no matter what, if I produce or not, I need to pay the fixed cost, which is 98. So which means that my profit from not producing is minus 98. But when I produce, okay, each good that I am producing bringing me some money. How do I know that? Because the cost, sorry, the price that I am charging, okay, so which is 5.5, is greater than the average variable cost for each product, okay, which is 5.40. So that part is coming me as some kind of a profit from the loss. Zarardan kar ediyorum burada, çalıştırarak. Yani zararımın 36.000 kadarını ben üretim yaparak üretim yaparak azaltıyorum. At the end, I am losing money from production, but I would lose more money if I don't produce at all. Açık oldu mu şimdi? Tamam, süper. So let me show you one more graph. Okay, so basically, so what we have done is basically for a given price, okay, so we find the optimum level of the production here, okay, and so we also compare it with the shutdown decision. Okay, what if I want to find the supply curve of this competitive firm? Okay, so let's think about, okay, so here I wrote it as supply, but let's think that this is the marginal cost curve. Okay, so remember, supply curve is the one, okay, so which gives the amount of production at different level of prices. Yani supply curve aslında düşündüğünüzde fiyat buyken sen ne kadar üretirsin? fiyat şuyken sen ne kadar üretirsin? Onu cevaplarını sizin supply curve'ünüzü veriyor. So let's think about that case here in the perfect computation. Okay. So let's look at the average variable cost. A firm produces if price is greater than minimum of average variable cost. Bunu hatırlıyorsunuz değil mi? Biraz önce bunu anlattık. Burada minimum of average variable cost ne olmuş oluyor? Bu grafikte, specifically bu grafikte. What is the minimum of average variable cost in this graph? It is 5. Okay? So this is the minimum of average variable cost. So which means that if price is less than minimum of average variable cost, which is 5, then supply is, what is supply? It is 0. Okay, so if I want to draw the supply curve, okay, for the firm, so where the price is less than minimum of the average variable cost, then it will be 0, up below 5. Then let's think about a price level which is greater than the minimum of the average variable cost. Let's say 6. How do we find the optimum level of production when the price is 6? Okay, so what we do is basically price is equal to marginal cost, right? So this is giving me the optimum amount of the production. So which means that I will draw a horizontal line, okay, from 6, and I will look at the intersection with this horizontal line and the marginal cost curve. What is that intersection? Tamam, bir daha söyleyeyim. Okay, so suppose that the price is 6. Then what I would like to do is basically I would like to find the optimum quantity, okay, when the market price is 6. 140. Aslında siz burada ne yapmış oldunuz? Okay, if price is 140, sorry for that. If price is 6, then the supply is 140. If price is 7, what is the optimum level of the production? Exact. Okay, so which is exactly in fact the supply. Okay, so basically for competitive firms, okay, competitive firms supply curve is equal to the marginal cost above minimum of average variable cost. Yani burada ne demek istiyorum? Şuradan ötesi size supply curve'ünü veriyor. Tabii ki şu kısmında dahil. Hani bu tek bir individual. Okay. So let's turn back to our question. Okay, so that will be the last thing that I will do. I will continue just a little bit on Wednesday, okay, before I solve some questions. So let's think about that. Our cost function is as follows. Okay, so then I ask you to derive supply curve. Okay, so what I know is basically supply will be 0 if price is less than minimum of average variable cost. Okay, then supply will be equal to the marginal cost curve if price is greater or equal to minimum of average variable cost. Okay, so let's think about that. So the supply is given as, so the minimum of average variable cost, I need to first find this minimum of average variable cost. I need to first find the average variable cost. To do that, I need to first find the variable cost. Variable cost is this guy. Then the average variable cost is q squared minus 10q plus 20. Then the minimum of average variable cost is, I need to take the derivative of this average variable cost with respect to quantity. It is 2q minus 10 is equal to 0. Then I find quantity is equal to 5. Then I plug in the value there. Okay, that is 25 minus 50, okay, plus 20. Okay, so what do I find here? It is minus 5. So minimum of the average variable cost is minus 5, which means that, what does it mean? For any p greater than minus 5, okay, I will produce. Since price is always greater than minus 5, okay, so which means that supply is never 0, okay, and basically supply will be equal to marginal cost curve, okay, for any p is equal to any p greater or equal to 0. Then to find the marginal cost, I need to look at the cost function. Here is the cost function. Marginal cost will be 3q squared minus 20q plus 20. Okay, 3q squared 20. So which means that 3q squared minus 20q plus 20. Okay. The supply, okay, so I need to relate it with the price, okay, then P is equal to the marginal cost will give me my supply curve for one individual firm. Takip edebildiniz mi burayı? Cost, bu negatiflikten kastımız şu. Burada average variable cost'u çiziyoruz ya burada. Aslında burada average variable cost şöyle bir şeymiş. Anlatabildim mi? Yani burada minimum of average variable cost negatif bir sayıya denk geliyor. Bazen supply curve'ü buradan başlatıyoruz ya. Hani o durumda bu şekilde oluyor. Cost'u negatif bulmadık biz burada. Average variable cost'un minimum değeri negatif bir sayıya denk geliyor. Şu şekilde bir daha çizeyim. Şöyle bir şeymiş average variable cost curve'ümüz. Açık oldu mu birazcık da? Yok, yani realitede hani burada cost'umuz değil önemli olan. Hani bir figür olduğunu düşünelim. Şimdi bir daha düşünelim. Bu bizim cost fonksiyonumuz. This is our cost function. Right? So you are bearing some fixed cost here. Okay, for the production. Then the average variable cost, okay, is this factor. Okay, so q cube minus 10q square plus 20q. Okay, this is the variable cost. Then we find the average variable cost. Then we are looking for the minimum of the average variable cost. Okay, so which means that producing some, so this is the point where we achieve the minimum of the average variable cost, which is 5. Okay, and once we find the minimum, once we evaluate this 5 at the average variable cost curve, okay, we find that the minimum of the average variable cost is negative 5. Okay, so does that, is that something realistic? It doesn't sound like that realistic in the real life, okay? But as a function or as a math, okay, nothing is wrong here. Tamam, hani burada belki mantıksal olarak düşündüğünüzde ne demek oluyor? Bir ürün yaptığınızda hani belki şu şekilde düşünebilirsiniz. Her bir üründe devlet size şey veriyor, para veriyor. Hani yardım yapıyor. Sen şu kadar üretirsen her bir ürün başına şu kadar bir para alacaksın diyor. O zaman belki mantıklı olabilir. Açık mı şu anda? Gibi. Güzel. O zaman şöyle yapalım. Bir daha üzerinden geçeyim ben. Tamam mı? Ondan sonra bugünlük bitirelim. Çarşamba günü bu bıraktığımız noktadan tekrardan devam edeceğiz. So let me go over it one more time. Okay, then we will call for today and we will continue on Wednesday. So we would like to find the supply curve, okay, for a competitive firm when its cost function is given as this guy. Okay, so this is the cost function. Okay, so what we know here is this cost function is composed of So this cost function is composed of the variable cost part. Okay, so this red part is with the variable cost part. And we also know that it's also composed of fixed cost. So for the production, what matters for me is the average variable cost. Okay, so because I know that I will supply, okay, I will produce if the market price is greater or equal to the minimum of the average variable cost. So first thing first, I need to find the value for the average variable cost. Okay, so I know that the variable cost is this yellow part, sorry, this red part. Then I am dividing it by Q to find the average variable cost. Then I would like to find the minimum of this function. So the minimum of this function can be found by taking the derivative. I take the derivative of the average variable cost and I equalize it to 0. So which means that I can achieve the minimum of the average variable cost where quantity is 5. Okay, but I need to find the exact value of this minimum average variable cost, and what I do is I just put this 5 into this function. Okay, so it will be 25 minus 50 plus 20, and I got minus 5. Okay, so this can sound something like that. Okay, so whenever you are producing 5 units of goods, okay, so this is 5, then you are achieving the minimum of the average variable cost, and minimum of that average variable cost is minus 5. Okay, a realistic scenario for that is the following. Okay, so the government says that, okay, so I will give you extra money for producing some amount of goods, okay, until some point. That happens. Okay, so for the tea production or for the hazelnut production, so the government might be giving some kind of incentives to the farmers. Okay, but that's the minimum of the average variable cost. Okay, so what we know here is basically I will supply 0 if the price is less than the minimum average variable cost. Okay, so which is minus 5, which means that since the price is always greater or equal to 0, I will always supply. Okay, so there will be no 0 production here. I will always produce. Then the supply will be always equal to the marginal cost curve. Okay, so I know the marginal cost curve is given like this. Okay, so this is my marginal cost curve. And the supply curve is then basically whatever the price level, Q needs to find that price level. Okay, so which is basically price is equal to this marginal cost will be my supply curve. Biraz şeyi durdurayım şu anda. So that's all for today. Okay, I'm just stopping the recording. Okay, so I will continue, and if you have any questions, I will answer them. Just a second.